Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Islamic Explanation, a place where we together increase knowledge, strengthen faith, and draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this channel, we will discuss various Islamic topics ranging from studies, inspirational stories, motivation to migrate, and stories of converts to tips for living according to Islamic guidance. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our latest videos. Hopefully what is conveyed will be a charity and benefit us all. True story of a Muslim-hating pastor who converted to Islam. After seeing the miracle behind the Los Angeles fire, the devastating fire that hit Los Angeles, California, America has left behind many amazing stories. One of them is about a pastor who finally converted to Islam. How is that possible? This is the true story of a Christian pastor who often belittled Islamic values in his sermons. The pastor even burned the Quran as proof that Islam is the wrong religion. Until one moment, when the city of Los Angeles was completely engulfed in flames, this pastor found the miracle of life in Islam. The figure is called Michael. So what does it have to do with the Los Angeles fire? Michael is a respected pastor in Los Angeles. He is known for his strong rhetoric in delivering his sermons. Every weekend, his church is always full of congregants who are inspired by his passion and conviction. He speaks firmly about the importance of maintaining the Christian faith in a world that he considers increasingly distant from religious values. However, behind his inspiring sermons, Michael harbors a sense of anxiety that he finds difficult to fully understand. The anxiety grew when the Muslim community around his church began to grow. A small mosque that used to be rarely seen in activity was now crowded with worshippers. The faint sound of the call to prayer from a distance often disturbed Michael. He began to see the growth of this Muslim community as a threat. Even though they never showed hostility, for Michael, their presence felt like a challenge to the beliefs he held firmly. Michael began to convey his skeptical views of Islam in his sermons. He called Islam something foreign and dangerous. It slowly turned into hatred. Finally, one day after hearing that the mosque was being expanded, he became even angrier. With great emotion, he took the Quran that he had obtained from the church library. Michael burned it, feeling as if he was confirming his beliefs. But after the fire went out, he felt something strange. Instead of feeling victorious, his heart became even more restless. Feelings of guilt began to haunt him. His firm voice suddenly trembled. He felt something was wrong in his heart, especially when every time he passed the mosque that he considered a threat, his heart felt heavy. Michael couldn't shake the feeling that he had done something wrong, but instead of facing it, he chose to ignore the feeling and continue his routine as a pastor. January 2025 was a dark month for Los Angeles. A major fire hit the city, triggered by extreme weather. Michael woke up at night to sirens wailing and knocking on the door. He had to be evacuated. Outside, the atmosphere was chaotic. People were running. All the buildings were destroyed, turned to ashes. After a few days had passed, Michael returned to Los Angeles. He suddenly stopped to see something that stunned him. He stood in the distance, the only place intact in the midst of destruction. Michael couldn't believe that the mosque near his church was standing strong without a single scratch. He stood there for a long time looking at the mosque, mixed feelings in his heart. Michael, who is now at the peak of his struggle, has a big decision that he has taken after months of contemplation, studying Islam, and wrestling with his fears and doubts. He decided to step in the direction that had always felt right in his heart. That morning, Michael walked towards the An-Nur Mosque. With steady steps, even though he could not completely eliminate the nervousness that haunted his mind, he found peace in the verses of the Quran and the warmth of Islam. Michelle finally decided to become a convert after reciting the Shahada. That morning, the sun had not yet fully risen. The air was still cold with the remains of ash and the smell of smoke from the fires that had not yet disappeared from the city. But Michael's steps felt warm. His heart was shaking, but not because of fear, but because of hope. He walked towards the An-Nur Mosque with a strong body, but a fragile soul. In his head, there were still voices that questioned, doubted, and even frightened him. But this time, the voice in his heart was stronger. Go! Listen! Open your heart! When the door of the mosque opened, the aroma of the mosque carpet, the distinctive smell of wood, and the soft light from the glass windows greeted him. An old man with a white beard who was sweeping smiled at him. "Good morning. How can I help you?" Michael paused for a moment, then his voice trembled. "I want to know more about Islam." For months after the fire, Michael secretly borrowed Islamic books from the city library. He read translations of the Quran, watched videos of debates and lectures by great scholars. But it was not logic alone that touched him. What touched him most was the story of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who patiently endured the abuse, how Muslims are commanded to repay evil with good, and how Islam glorifies Jesus, or Isa alayhi salam, who had been the center of his faith. But here in Islam, he is not God, but a great prophet. His heart melted. At the An-Nur Mosque, Michael sat with the Imam. They talked for a long time. The Imam did not force him, he just answered questions calmly. Michael cried, tears he had held back for years, tears of guilt, but also of relief. That evening, with several mosque congregations as witnesses, Michael stood and recited the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Suddenly, the world seemed silent. His heart that had been rebelling suddenly felt at peace. His hands clasped his chest, his eyes closed. A small smile appeared. For the first time in his life, he felt like he had come home. Michael is now known as Abdul Malik. He decided to leave his old life as a priest and start from scratch. Many people sneered, cursed, and even avoided him, but he did not waver. Every Friday, he sits in the first row of the mosque. Every dawn, he stands with his fellow believers. He even started teaching English to Muslim children who were struggling in public schools. He repaid his past hatred with sincere love. One night, a young man came to him after the Isha prayer. "Ustaz Abdul Malik, I used to hate Islam like you, but I see your life has changed. Can I join you in learning?" Abdul Malik's tears fell again. He knew guidance belongs to Allah, and he was only an intermediary. Today, Abdul Malik lives quietly in the suburbs. He is not a pastor, not a great ustad, but his life story is one of dawah. He has become a symbol of how the fire of hatred can be extinguished and replaced by the light of guidance. The Los Angeles fires may have destroyed homes and buildings, but it was from those ashes that a new soul was born, who knew Allah and found Islam as his true home. The great fire that hit Los Angeles not only burned buildings and trees, but also opened the door to someone's heart, which had been tightly locked by hatred and arrogance. He was Michael, a respected pastor. His rhetoric was strong, his authority was unquestionable. But behind all that, there was an anxiety that he had never admitted, even to himself. When the call to prayer was heard from a distance, his heart was restless. He felt disturbed, as if Islam was disturbing the beliefs that he had built up so far. Without realizing it, his heart was being reunited with the truth in a way that he had not yet understood. The peak on a quiet night, with hands shaking with anger. Michael burned a copy of the Quran, but when the fire went out, what was left was not victory, but a deeper anxiety. Since that day, Michael's sleep has never been sound again. The sound of the call to prayer now sounded like a call, not a disturbance, but his ego was too big to admit it. Then came the event, January 2025. The sky of Los Angeles turned red. Fire was rampant. Michael fled, losing his home, his church, and everything he owned. Only one thing remained: the mosque. An-Nur Mosque, the place he once considered a threat, now standing strong, untouched by fire. Michael cried for the first time, not because of loss, but because he realized that he had been blind for too long. Months after that, he began to search, reading the Quran in secret, learning about Muhammad, about Islam, and he found answers he had not found anywhere else. Finally, Michael came to An-Nur Mosque with a tired face but a heart ready to change. The Imam greeted him, not with judgment, but with a smile, a hug, and a cup of warm tea. And that morning, with a trembling but confident voice, Michael pronounced the Shahada. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Now he is known as Abdul Malik, no longer a priest, no longer a hater, but a new brother in Islam. He chose a simple life path, teaching children, helping the locals. He did not preach with big words, but with love and example. From a Quran burner to a Quran lover. From someone who hated Islam to its defender. Guidance came in a way we never expected, and the fire that once burned Los Angeles has lit a light in his heart that never goes out, because Allah does not need a place to enter the human heart. Just one moment, one sincerity, one small step towards the truth, and life changes forever. Friends of Islamic Explanation, hopefully this video is useful. See you in the next video. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.